watching this video is because you've missed a lesson on the slope of parallel and perpendicular lines. Or maybe you needed some extra help. Let's talk about what parallel and perpendicular lines mean and what that means for the slope. A parallel line, the parallel lines, they will never touch. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, they're always going to be the same distance from each other, and that is because their slope is exactly the same. So because they're always increasing at the same sort of rate, they're never going to touch. So if I tell you the purple line has a slope of 3/5 and it's parallel to green, you go, oh, green slope is 3/5. A perpendicular line means a couple of things. It means it's going to intersect once, which means it's going to cross once at a 90-degree angle. What that means is that the two lines make a 90-degree angle, and that matters more for geometry, but that's a fact. And that they're going to have a negative reciprocal slope from each other. What that means, and we're going to talk about what negative reciprocal means, but it basically means you flip the number and you change the sign. So if the green line is -6/7, that means the purple is going to be +7/6. What is the negative reciprocal? You flip the number upside down, you flip the number, and then you make it the opposite. So positive is negative now, negative is positive. So again, my green line was negative, and that's why my purple line is positive. 7 was in the denominator, it's now in the numerator. 6 was in the numerator, it's now in the denominator. So let's take a look at how we do that. Let's try out one. So I want you to pause and I want you to try this out. -3/4. What is the negative reciprocal? All right, assuming you paused. This number here is negative. That tells us our new number is going to be positive. Then from there, we take the number in the numerator, the top, we put it in the denominator, the bottom. We take the number in the denominator, the bottom, and we put it in the top, the numerator. Boom. That's our answer. +4/3. But what do you do when you have just a number? When you have just 6, here's what we're going to do. Every whole number, every not fraction, can be made into a fraction by putting it over 1. Because 6 divided by 1 is still 6. We're not changing anything. Now from here, we go, okay, this is positive. It's positive, it's not negative, which means my new number is going to be negative. Then I'm going to take the number on the top, the numerator, and put it in the denominator, the bottom. I'm going to take the number in the denominator, the bottom, and put it in the top, the numerator. And there we go. My final answer. So let's put that to the test. Let's use that. I have this one here. And I want to find the slope of both of these. And I'm going to tell you they are perpendicular. So how do I find the slope? Here's the thing. One of these is really easy to find the slope, and the other one's really hard. But what you're looking for is clear and easy points. Purple. Because they're very clearly on the grid, I know those 2 points. So I can find the slope of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my triangle. I'm going to count. My rise is 1. My run is 1. So when I find my perpendicular here, my purple line, so I'm going to find the slope of my purple line. The slope is going up, it's puff, puff, positive, so that's a positive. And then rise over run, so 1 goes on top. And the other one goes on the bottom. And you can finish it up and say that my final answer is +1. So if I want to find the slope now of this other line, and I tell you they're perpendicular, what that means is that if this is positive, it's now negative. And what's on the bottom goes on the top. And what's on the top goes on the bottom. And yes, they're the same number, but it does happen sometimes. My answer is -1. These are negative reciprocals from each other. So, I want you to try this one now. Worry about counting blocks. Everything has to scale. I don't really care if you count 4 or 2, whatever. Worry about counting blocks. So, first thing you're going to do is figure out which line is easiest to count. And that's going to be this one. That's going to be this one here. That's because I've got 1 point here and 1 point here. If I make my triangle, my rise is 2. Again, I'm just counting blocks. And my run is 1. So if I look at my red line, first things first, it's going down. Right? It's nice negative, so it's negative. We do rise over run. My rise is 2. My run is 1. My final answer is technically -2. I'm going to use, however, that in-between step for my other line, which I'm going to call my green line. If it's negative here, it's positive here. 1's on the bottom, so it's now on the top. 2's on the top, so it's now on the bottom. So that means my final answer here is +1/2. We're using that. You only need to find one slope, but we can use it to find the other. Now, parallel is easier. You find one slope, you find both. So you pick one. Pick this one here. 2 easy points. Draw my triangle. And if I count, my rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My run is 1. So if I find my slope, we do rise over run, and oh, careful, it's going down, so it's negative. My rise is 5. My run is 1, which means my final answer is -5. And guess what? You're done. There's no flipping, no nothing. That is the slope for both of them. What I want you to do, I want you to try this one out. So we're going to pick one. We're going to find the slope. So let's pick this one here. I think this one's relatively easy. Got a point here, and I've got a point here. I count my rise. It's 1, 2, 3. Count my run. It's 2. It is going down, and it's nice negative. My rise is 3. My run is 2. There's really nothing to condense. That is the slope for both. So, if you're looking for parallel, you find one, you find both. You're looking for perpendicular, you find one, you flip it, change the sign, and you found the other one. And that's pretty much the gist of the lesson. Let me know if you have any questions.